welcome to GlobalWIIN's Getting to Know You evening. Thank you so much for making the decision to spend your evening with us. For those of you who do not know me, I am Bola Olabisi, founder and CEO of the Global Women Inventors and Innovators Network, simply known as GlobalWIIN. Today we celebrate World Creativity and Innovation Day. It is a great opportunity and a pleasure to get to know some of the women with ingenious ideas that are making positive impact in the lives of humankind. Just before we get started, I think today we're going to learn quite a bit about ideas, retail, intellectual property, manufacturing, distributorship. We're going to keep it real. So let's get started. Let's start with the showcase. All right, we're going to speak to Denise Anstey straight away, the inventor of Slick Stick. So Denise Anstey, are you there? Right, wonderful. Hello.
Hi, yes, hi.
How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you for inviting me.
Wonderful. So before we get started into anything else, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am an inventor of all sorts of products now. So I was awarded the British Female Inventor of the Year award for my Slick Stick, which is a walking stick, and it stemmed from a car accident I had in 1998. So I didn't want to use a normal walking stick, and I was disabled and mostly confined to the house and bed for the first 6 years. And so my mother said to me one day, she came in and she put a notepad on the bed and a pen, and she said, you need to design a walking stick that you would use. And that's how it all started. So it was literally through my own disability that I designed the Slick Stick walking stick to help other people in my situation. And it was so innovative, and it still is today. There's still nothing available out there like it. I've got it here actually, the original. So this is the original one.
That's the original one. That's the one you got the award for.
This is the one I got the award for, yes. It has a wind-up handle, so you can power it overnight, charge it up. But if you run out of power during the day, you've got a little handle you can wind, and it will generate enough power to keep you going through a dark evening. But for me, it was all about safety as a disabled person. So it was about having illumination to see trip hazards and also to be seen. So red flashing LEDs down the stem for crossing the road because you're slower. A panic alarm to alert for help. There's a magnet. It's very ergonomic, the handle. It was almost I based it on like a horse's back, actually. It was really weird because, and the hand sits really well. The fabric came from my use of trying to regain my mobility in my right arm. I actually used to squeeze a rubber ball, and it was the same texture because I knew from years ago that people with wooden walking sticks, that they would become slippery and they would fall out of people's hands. So I wanted something which would be easy to grip, and that is less likely to happen, something very lightweight and ergonomic. So it had so many different elements in it for me. And it was just amazing. The comments, it sold globally. It was incredible. I licensed it to a company to make for me in the UK, and unfortunately within 2 years they closed their company and started the next day under a different name. They took the walking stick with them and continued to manufacture it, and I couldn't stop them.
Right, hold it there, because that's extremely important to know. First of all, you come up with your walking stick. It's got all these multifunctional aspects to it. You then find a manufacturer, and then they go bankrupt. And after they go bankrupt, they then take your walking stick with them, and then under a different name, they start to run with it.
Yes, and they actually used my name, my award and my photograph of the award on the box and all the advertising, and carried on to promote that. So people thought I was on board with it. So when it was faulty, I was getting emails from people saying, why are you not stopping them? And so it's very difficult, because at the time it was civil, which meant I would have had to have paid hundreds of thousands of pounds up front to employ an IP attorney to take this on board. So what I did was I actually looked at changing the laws of intellectual property to criminalise it rather than civil. And it's now up to 10 years imprisonment for anyone that steals a product idea in the UK.
So that's good news, because just to make that point, that before you started this campaign, and I understand you went to number 10
Yes.
with late Trevor Bayliss, and your MP.
Yes, I had so much support because they knew my journey, and it was so hard for me, and I really wanted to help other people in my position. And nobody actually, unless they walk in your shoes, would have known how to develop that product or invent it. You had to have walked in the shoes of someone who was disabled to understand what was really needed. And when you invent a product, you invest not only hours, not only days, not only months, but years sometimes into a product. And therefore, all of that dedication, all of that passion, all of that energy, all of that exhaustion in trying to get your product out there, and then someone can just take it just like this. And it's just, if someone stole your car, as Trevor used to say, it would be criminal. So why isn't it the same if someone steals your product? And so for me, it was looking at other ways of addressing the issue and helping other people moving forward in the UK. And so for a while after that happened, it did knock me a bit. But I think being an inventor means that you always have this inner drive. You're always wanting to succeed, and you need to have this passion. And if you love what you do, it doesn't feel like work. But if you believe in it, then other people will believe in it. So for me, it was always about keeping things going and looking at the next step forward. What else can I do? You know, what else is out there? What can I look at? What's needed? And it's always about need. What do people need in their lives to make life easier? Problem solving, problem solving products.
Were you able to get now that it's a criminal offense, of course, to steal somebody else's intellectual property rights, were you able to get them to stop manufacturing? Were you able to put a stop to it?
Yes, they did. They did.
You succeeded in that, and well done.
Yes, thank you. No, I would have pursued right the way through every avenue going, because that was my project, and no one can just walk in and do that to you.
It's soul destroying when you've worked so hard and someone or some big dinosaur company, manufacturing company, can think they can walk away with it. So that must have taken a lot of some bravery to be able to get that.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I was disabled for 13 years, and I only had one day where a mum said after the accident, you know, you just feel sorry for yourself for one day. You're only allowed one day in 13 years. But when they did that to me, I collapsed on the kitchen floor, broke my heart, and didn't want to get up. I just felt my world had ended, because I'd lost my income stream, I'd lost my product, I'd lost helping other people, I'd lost my work, my job, my career, my passion, my goal. And so it took me a while, and then I thought, actually, I got angry. And that was good, because it gave me that spirit back to actually go and pursue it and go, no, they're not doing this to me. And I went down every avenue. And once the laws were changed, and they just stopped. And then it was a case of, do I want to do this again? And at that point, technology was changing. And I think this is really important with a product, that, you know, something that was one thing doesn't necessarily will be that thing moving forward. So for instance, I did have another prototype made.
Oops. Can we have everybody muted, please? We have some people speaking. Thank you.
Okay. So technology changed, which meant 3D printing came into being. And so I had it slightly redesigned. I paid a designer. This isn't going to be the final one, but it was 3D printed. Like this actual model is like bone china, which is why it's got sellotape around it now, because it's so fragile. It's a fragile prototype. We've lost the handle. This is quite a few years old. And I was actually looking at having covers, reflected covers, pretty colours, just so people would change the look. And I think now there are walking sticks out there with different covers and things to make it a bit pretty for everybody. But I think, so I didn't actually go to full production because I needed about £60,000 to actually have tooling works done. And at the time, I just couldn't raise that kind of money. I went to different television programs to help raise money, and it didn't happen. And so it got put to one side. What did happen is I started to write my autobiography, which will be called Stick With Me, which obviously seemed a really good title.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, and I know that I will be remanufacturing the walking stick, but it will be component parts brought in from abroad, but manufactured in the UK, where I can keep control of the final make of the product. And it will be more 3D printing. It won't necessarily need tooling works moving forward. So it's
Taking over now. It's not half as expensive as it was.
no, exactly. So although it's taken time, it just means that actually the way we do go about making it again will be a much easier process and hopefully cheaper, which will help with the final product cost of actually having to make it in the UK. But for me, it's always about women in business, women inventors, promoting things made in this country as well. So they're all my tick boxes. Now, in the interim, obviously,
Sorry, you're on a global platform, and when you say this country, I just wanted to make
oh, UK, in my own country, and I think, yes, sorry, yes. So making things in your own country and helping boost the economy in your own country is really good. So and for me, I didn't want, just because I didn't do the walking stick, I didn't want to give up. And for me, it's all about the next project. What can I do? So I started looking into and working with different organizations and helping people with dementia. So making products such as, I've got one here. Seems a simple product. It's a newspaper called Heartfelt News. It looks like a newspaper, it sounds like a newspaper, and every page, I don't know if you can see, but there's all different fiddles and different things in there for people to actually use and help stimulate memory. It's a sensory product as well. So working with organizations and trusts it's really to gain research and make sure that actually when we make the products, we send them out so that they can be well tested, so we actually know that we're ticking the right boxes, and that's really important as well moving forwards.
So it's been quite a journey, and I'm sure that we don't have enough time to really go through that journey with you, but I can appreciate what you must have gone through and the learning curves that you've had. So because we haven't got that much time, is there any key aspect that you would really like to share with us in terms of what we can take away with us?
I think when you're a lone inventor, you feel when something happens that it just happens to you. But actually, I think every person who invents something goes through these hurdles. And it really is a tenacity, the drive, the determination. You have to have all of those things to keep moving forward. You get your knocks, but you need to pick yourself back up and you need to keep moving forwards. And there's lots of organizations such as yourselves and people out there that can help you, that you can get that support from, and I think as women we all need to kind of stick together and boost each other. Just don't think you're on your own and think that what's happening to you is just a one-off. We all go through really bad times, and it's just picking yourself back up and having that determination to succeed.
I mean, you've been absolutely succinct with it in sense of the journey, and I have to say that you've come a long way from the last time that I saw you. I can see the confidence now, and I think that perhaps the experience that you've had, has really been a learning curve that has made you more and more determined to succeed. And you were telling me when we spoke earlier on about how what you're doing in your neighborhood, in your community, that goes beyond just being an inventor, because a lot of the products that you're doing is to really assist and help others. And while it may not be high technology, because a lot of people are really into the high technology aspects, low technology, high viability, the progress that I can see, it's sky is the limit for you. And
I hope so. Thank you. Yes, it is. I do like to help my community as well. I definitely invest in my community. And yes, when COVID hit, my business closed because of the products for dementia were not required. So I set up a scrub hub in North Devon and got the community involved in making scrubs for the healthcare workers. And my partner bought 13 rolls of high poly fabric, and we made 400 pairs of scrubs and 300 scrub bags and headbands and all sorts. So we were so busy over COVID just going out there and helping our healthcare workers. And then with the leftover fabric, we've got another project moving forwards, and we're using the leftover fabric they're being sent, squares are being sent to the community to be embroidered with icons relating to the pandemic. And I've got a few here actually, I don't know whether you can see them. So this one is hands, washing hands. Someone's done that one. And they're really innovative actually to see this, what goes on in the community. And they're all different colours. We're making 2 quilts, one which is going to go into our local museum as a working historic document of the pandemic, and the other one is actually going to be made to raise money for the local hospice, and that will be January next year. They will be ready to be auctioned and sent to the museum. So it's all about investing in the community, and it's really good that people see you and being involved, and making those connections in your community as well, which may help you further down the line.
I mean, absolutely wonderful. I mean, I think with the pandemic, we've all come to realize how important caring is and how much we must give back to the community, and appreciate everyone that has come up with innovative ideas to help humankind. So on that note, I'd like to say thank you very much for your input, for what you've done. But is there any last tip that you would like to give us before I say bye-bye to you?
Oh, bless you. Yeah, just keep moving, keep passionate about your goals, and you should attain them. Just keep going.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bola.
Denise Hanstey, from the inventor of Slick Stick. So for those of you who are joining us, are with us, thank you very much for your time, for spending this time to celebrate with us. If you're joining us for the first time, it is about women, it is about innovation, invention, creating new ideas, wanting to know what to do when you have that invaluable idea. And I always say that sometimes real stories you can learn much more easily than perhaps sitting down and reading through textbooks and the theoretical aspects. Not that they're not important, they are, but I think this adds value to the knowledge sharing that so many share with us in terms of innovation. So we're ahead of time, but we are going to have a small break now. And then we're going to have our next speaker, who is Dr. Oya Akman from Turkey, who is going to be showing us some of her wonderful designs as a product designer. So please stay with us, don't go away, and we'll be back soon. Welcome, everyone. My next guest today is Dr. Oya Akman, she's a product designer of Oya Designs. I see quite a lot of these designs around, and it's such a pleasure to know that the brain behind these designs is with us today. We do have a chat thing there at the bottom somewhere, so where you can pass your comments, so please do so. We actually will be starting in about 5:30, so we're slightly early. But before we go on, let me just tell you about Dr. Oya Akman. She did win an award. I believe it was when we were in Finland quite some years back. And apart from her designs, she's the head of the industrial design department at Istanbul Medipol University in Turkey. She has since won several awards, including the creation of an innovative program, which has attracted over 160 students. So we're going to hear quite a bit about that from Dr. Oya Akman. English is not her first language, so please do remember that when we're watching this presentation, but I suspect that we will, because it's design, we'll get the general idea of what she's talking about. So can we just see Dr. Akman's presentation first?
For your invitation, Bola. Design is a way for life for me. When I was a kid, my grandfather gave me a magnifying glass and design journey start. I examined the details of nature. We made the best kids together and learned to swim and rock the waters or submersibles. Excuse me for my English. Okay. Company Oya Design, brand Oya Design. This service provide mechanical engineering, graphic design, production, manufacturing, packaging, etc. Or design language, a new production technique review, a new perspective of the use of the material, energy saving mold material, innovative method in different product application, physical interaction, interaction with the environment, semantic dimension, simplicity, flexibility, ergonomic production quality, nature-friendly, sustainable, etc. And about global, unique, innovative, high quality. I have many awards. For me, is very special award for me. You win the awards. And now I have a new awards, bronze awards, invention. No. These awards are new mission in glass technology for all together, change of the forms of the single mold set automatic glass technology, many alternative design creation system, producing alternative products from a single mold in automatic glass technology. This patent number USA, Europe, etc. The packaging hours of the packaging industrialist associations, 6 hours packaging hours. is Turku grape and apple vinegar, 2 awards, Golden Packaging Award and Gold Award, and Silver Award, Turku Detox and Organic Beverage, glass packaging. This theory. This Johnson Glass Cleaner, Silver Awards. Spring Honey Bronze Awards. It's very interesting. Phosphorus cologne is for me. It's very important because phosphorus is very difficult to swim. There are strong reverse current. During my childhood and youth, I swam this difficult current. My design reflects this reverse current in the most important teacher in overcoming difficulties. Glass packaging, Gagos, many awards, German Design Award, Pent Awards, Design Turkey, Crescent, and Stars for packaging. These outside, colorful life, natural, identical charisma, cool girls, men who saved the world, funny acid, seed effective verb, keep out of the reach of snobs. Anavarza honey. This packaging, gradual and horizontal linear structure in the bay with the honey fluidity, mix of common similar form. Many awards is WIPO World Star for packaging, and Design Turkey Christian Stars for packaging, etc. Gold award, etc. Balparmak honey, the geometry. Excuse. Okay, this awards. This. Porcelain olive oil packaging, olive stylization handle and sleeves. Phosphorus series, tabletop design. This 3D printing, halo lighting, your angel. Kibar bar, gentle barbarian. The gentle barbarian wraps a leaf napkin in her glass in matter. Leaf stylization, 3D printing. Halo hula hoop, my cocktail glass and whiskey cocktail in a large series. And Eclipse Cafe teacup. This interesting production, casting and turning technique were combined. Hot liquid filling into the handle, heating on the handle was prevented. The process in attaching the handle with one-time produce has been removed. And stackable coffee cup, bowl cup, it's the big theory. And band cafe, keeping balanced with one finger. Whiskey glass. This innovation, many prize, red dot design plus good design, etc. Thin, light, special porcelain formula, different production system, baking the biscuit in the oven, the glaze on go, etc. The same technique. My design were chosen by German Design Council for their special design exhibition. This is my whiskey glass, 3 different holding styles from the bottom. Priority for me is ergonomics. This messenger cup, you can decorate the handle however you want. It's very big series. Saturn and bubble glass have a many price. San Francisco MoMA. My beer glass, many years in marketing. Luna inspired by the dress. Clouds in the light comes out through the clothes. Tulip, maybe looking into the glass. Reflection, this spherical concave mirror in the center of the plate reflect image on the light on to the center. Olive and leaf little sculpture. Tulip is coffee cup. This is many handmade design. Ephesus glass and bowl series. Lim cocktail. This is many different and I have prize design. This is this packaging, plastic packaging, and shampoo, soft, bright. Parfum glass, Korean wok plate, food design, party design, and decoration, and bowl, vase, insect vase, and jewelry design. I have the jewelry design. And wool, I have wool design and weave design, wool twist and weave. From the international press. Okay. From international press. I have many students. Well, these students, some technical in university. In Istanbul Medipol University, I am the head of the industrial design department. I have many students. And technology should be connected together with creativity and innovation for me. When science, art combine together, they form the technology. Design today should be a very good blend technological innovation with aesthetic and comfort of use by taking the human of the center. For sustainable global commercial success, be predictive, be creative, be innovative, be flexible, think globally, don't be afraid of taking risk, make a good business plan. Thank you. It's very quickly.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Oya. I am so impressed.
Excuse me.
I know you were a bit concerned that English isn't your first language and perhaps we would not be able to understand you, but the images speak for themselves. And I'm sure I've been seeing some of the comments coming up and they've been quite positive. People are stunning they are in terms of what you've achieved. And I really am so impressed from just coming up with those designs and getting to that stage where you're now saying you want to now share your knowledge with students and coming up with your own innovation program. And for a long time, I have been campaigning for the fact that once you're an inventor and an innovator, there is so much, the transferable skills and knowledge that's there, that a lot of the universities and colleges and schools should be tapping into this. I know some of you are already doing this, but I think that they shouldn't be waiting for you to come to them. They should be grasping these opportunities. And so our next phase within GlobalWIIN is to ensure that we let them know that there is a place and space within the learning institutions for people like yourself, people like Denise, people like Lindsay and Kemi and Jennifer, who have been through that experience and know what it takes. So thank you very, very much for sharing your time with us. It's been an absolute pleasure watching all those wonderful designs that you got all those awards for, that you so deserve.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, right. Before I go off, and we do have a bit of time, and I have asked if anybody would like to say one or two things. Do we have Professor Ruth? I know you'll be making the closing remarks, but I think it's a good time to pass one or two comments on intellectual property. So is Professor Ruth with us?
Yes.
Wonderful.
Hello.
Hello. Wonderful to have you, as always.
Wonderful to be with you and to hear well, the first two presenters, and I look forward to hearing the rest.
Yes.
What would you like me to? What would you like me to say?
We've watched an inventor talk about, you know, putting so much effort, energy, the action of that being taken away from her, and the
yes, I think there. Yeah, but sorry to interrupt you, but I think there's no getting away from the fact that intellectual property rights is not a bed of roses. It really isn't. The alternative is also got problems, but if you're going to set out like Denise and the Slick Stick, engage with the system, that's really doing the best you can. And then if you get problems, at least you've got something to hit back at someone who has outrageously taken what's yours. And Denise is absolutely right. There's been some great campaigning. She was part of it. Trevor Bayliss did McDonald and Acid, which I'm sure lots of your members will have heard of, especially if they're in the design area, have actually made a change in the law. And the one thing I wanted to sort of correct by putting the piece in the chat was, it's not, you can't claim all your intellectual property rights have been stolen. That hasn't happened. You know, if it's a patent, you've got a struggle. But with registered design, if somebody has taken your registered design deliberately in the course of business, you can report that as a criminal offence. And the bit that I've put up is from the CPS, the Criminal Prosecution Service. So thanks, Denise, for alerting everybody to that fact. It should make life easier for designers, and goodness knows the struggle for designers is really, really, you know, it's a tough one. It's a tough one, but I think the rewards of identifying what you've done and going after protection of what you've done are really worth it. And most people will say so, because then at least you've got some kind of foundation to build on. Is that helpful?
It is very helpful. And I just, you know, we've just seen Dr. Oya Akman's beautiful designs. I mean, she didn't even have to say anything, just watching one slide after the other, those wonderful designs. You know, she does have patents for them. We've not been able to ask many questions because of the language situation. we do hope that one day GlobalWIIN will be rich enough to have interpretations of.
Yes, and I think one thing to say about design as well. I just spoke about registered design, which you can, which if it's taken deliberately, is a criminal offence. But we've also got, as far as design is concerned, and people are not always aware of that, across Europe and in the United Kingdom, unregistered design. So if I'm not sure how it works in Turkey, but in the whole of Europe and in the United Kingdom, I can't say Europe, UK and Europe together because we're not together anymore, but both systems have protection for unregistered design rights. You don't have to do anything. If you come up with glasses which are original and creative, for example, like Oya has done, they have an automatic 3-year protection. And it's good to remember that, because if you then see your glasses on sale somewhere without your permission, without a license, you can write and tell them to stop. You can initiate a legal action based on unregistered design rights.
Wonderful. I think that, thank you very much. It's always very, should I say, comforting to know that the solutions are coming out. There was a time when that was it. It was tough. If they stole it,
yes,
and a big dinosaur, and you couldn't fight back, you couldn't afford the legal team to help you out. That's it. And
absolutely. And I'm sure it is still going to be very tough. I mean, I don't know how many of your UK people on this Zoom have seen the spat between Marks and Spencer's and Aldi over the Colin the Caterpillar cake. I don't know if anybody has, but Marks and Spencer's have been selling a cake, Colin the Caterpillar decorated cake, which Aldi has been copying Caterpillar.
Yes.
Caterpillar. Yes. Okay. Well, when I first saw that, I thought, good for you, Aldi. Marks and Spencer's have really got it coming to them, because they are the biggest rippers off of young designers. They've had all sorts of cases brought against them by young women in particular. There was a swimsuit designer of about 15 years ago or so, and they make their lives a misery because they're huge, the designer is small, and those young designers will now benefit from this new law. But Marks and Spencer's do not have a good track record. So well, I'm rooting for Aldi on this one.
Well, there's something in naming and shaming. So if anyone's,
yes,
steals any one of our women's intellectual property rights, I think GlobalWIIN will use our platform to shame. So they better watch out. No stealing.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if people haven't heard of ACID yet, ACID, Anti-Copying in Design, that's a wonderful support group for young designers, for designers of any vintage.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Professor Ruth. I know you're going to give the closing remarks later on and have the last word, but thank you. That is extremely useful. We are going to have another small break, but before we do so, please do stay with us, because I have an amazing speaker coming on. She's an amazing woman. She's so knowledgeable in the food industry. She holds a number of hats in terms of trying to ensure that we eat healthy, and she's come up with her own innovation. So please stay with us, because we will be having Mrs. Olukemi Atijason next. So stay with us. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you had a quick break there. We're going to carry on now with the next session. Please join me in welcoming Olukemi Atijason. She is the Managing Director of Eagle Solutions. She's also on the board of London Food, on London Food Board. Is an award-winning entrepreneur, and she never ceases to surprise me in terms of her knowledge in catering and in the nutrition industry. So let's just have a look at her showcase for now, and then we'll come back to you.
Hi, my name is Kemi Atijosa, and I'm the co-creator of Jolami Avara flour. Jolami Avara flour is derived from the root of the cassava plant using recipes and processes handed down through generations of the Kale people in Western Nigeria. Jolami Avara flour is a unique product. It's a standout product in its own class because it is natural. It has nothing added to it. It's wholesome and pure. It has no additives, no coloring, no preservative, no pesticide used in planting. It is wheat-free, soy-free, low sugar, and it's got nothing else added. Avara flour is a versatile product. It can be used to make cakes, muffins, pancakes, used to cook chicken, fish, or even make tempura vegetables. It can also be eaten as traditional African carbohydrate. When used as traditional African carbohydrate, it is very fast. You can get it ready within 75 seconds from when the flour touches water to the time that the dough is ready to be eaten. We guarantee the quality of Jolami Avara flour because we control the entire supply chain from farming to processing to packaging. Our quality assurance processes is robust, all our staff are trained, and we ensure that what we bring to you is in the purest form. As we are writing a new story of hope for the farmers, for the consumers. Feel free to get your Jolami Avara flour. Bake with it, fry with it, create with it, knowing that we bring it to you from our family to yours with love. Thank you.
Wow. I don't know about you, but I actually found that extremely interesting, and I'm looking forward to asking a few questions. But please don't forget that we do have a chat box there. So if you have anything that you'd like to ask or want me to ask, please do let me know. Welcome, Olukemi Atijason.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Wonderful to have you here. I'm always highly impressed with the work that you do, and especially
very much.
Food. And I'm always concerned about what I put into my body. So I think we're going to remain best friends from today onwards. But before we start, can I just find out just a little bit about you? Can you just tell us a bit about your background?
Okay, thank you. My name is Kemi Atijosa, as said in the video. I'm the co-creator of Jolami Avara flour. As you've seen in the video, it's a flour that is made from the root of the cassava plant. Before Avara was created, I started Eagle Solution Services Limited as a food consultant to schools because I was tired of the rubbish that was being fed to children in UK schools, and particularly children from the minority ethnic groups who are never recognized. So it was my goal and mission to change the world of food in the United Kingdom, which I believe we have achieved quite a bit, because there's hardly any school you go in London now where jollof rice is not on the menu, rice and peas, all of that. So part of that journey was trying to find something for children who are intolerant to gluten. Wheat has gluten in it. And for children who are gluten intolerant, it meant that they can't have cakes when other children are having cakes in school. They can't have biscuits. And so I started thinking about, well, what can I do? It's not fair that these children can only have fruits every day as their dessert. So one day I came home to my husband, who has science background, and I was telling him about how challenging this situation is, and what can I do, to change the trajectory of the lives of these children with gluten intolerance. So my husband said, well, I'm sure there has to be something. And that did I realize that cassava is naturally gluten-free. So I said, well, that's fine if it's gluten-free, but how do I turn it into something that can be used to make cakes and pancakes and things like that in schools? Because that is a problem I have, and that is a problem that I need a solution to right away. So he said, well, let's investigate it. So I said, well, then let's start. So my husband went off to Nigeria. We both we come from the western part of Nigeria. And in the area that we come from, which is the Ikale people, we have always eaten cassava. That is our staple food. But I never thought that it could be something that can turn into a flour that can become acceptable, because in our area, people look down on cassava. We thought it's poor man's food. So we set about working on how do we turn this into a product that can be used in schools. So my husband said, well, let him try and see what we can do. We looked at our traditional way of processing cassava, which they call kukuru in Ikale. And we looked at that and we thought, okay, that could be the starting point. So we started from there and began to work on it, try, innovate it, see what it is that we need to change. What do we need to do differently? How do we make this into a product that can turn into flour? So over time, we came out with the first batch of flour, but it was smelly so much that you don't want to touch it. Then when we then went back and tried another process, a couple of processes, and we managed to remove the smell from the flour. Then people said, oh, what about the cyanide in cassava? How do you deal with that? So I said, well, the easiest way is you continuously send the product to the laboratory. We brought it to the UK. There is no laboratory in the UK that can test for cyanide. So we had to send it to Italy to be tested. So we did that, and we managed with changing the processes to remove the cyanide that is in the cassava. So we added that to the process. Then eventually, once we were satisfied that this is now a product that can be used, as a caterer myself, I started testing out recipes at home, started seeing what I can use the flour to achieve. And over time, I was happy that I could use it to make cake. I can use it to make pancakes. I can use it to still eat it as traditional African food. And what is more, I think I can reasonably claim that is the fastest carbohydrate alternative that we have in the market, because if you want to make it into, people call it fufu, I just call it traditional carbohydrate, it only takes 75 seconds from when you boil the water and you pour it into the water to make it into a dough. So from that, I had to get the Celiac Society to approve it. If I'm going to be able to claim that it's truly gluten-free, then it has to go to the laboratory every year to prove that A, it is gluten-free, B, it has not been contaminated in processing through other things, so that people who are celiac and gluten intolerant can have confidence in eating the flour.
I'm very quick I mean, before I ask the next question, I can see a lot of people are asking, where can they buy this product? Where can they find it? So if you can tell us that, or put it in the chat, or put something so that people can know how to get in touch with you so that you can market this product, because everyone now is looking at what they put into their body. And from what you're saying, I think that we all want to, you've convinced me that this is something that is safer to eat than a lot of the cassava products that are out there. But I must say that some of what you're saying sounds easier said than done. What were the challenges that you faced in getting to the state that you're in right now?
I think the challenge, the biggest challenges was people wanting to not accept the product as a product on its own. People always want to associate a product with what they are used to. And so people say, oh, what is it? Is it lafun? I said no. Is it fufu? I said no. This is Avara flour. It has been created. It's different to anything that is out there in the market, because from the farming to getting it to this stage, we control every process. We do not allow somebody else to control that process. And that is critical for us, because we wanted to be sure that there is nothing added to the product. It's not contaminated anywhere along the supply chain. And we want to ensure that whoever buys it, that it is always a pure product that they buy, as I'm determined, along with my husband, that we will never ever have anything added to this. We will not use anything to preserve it, because we think that any food that you can keep for up to 3 years without spoilage, 3 years is long enough to keep any food. You don't need all this sulfate and everything else that is added to our food that is compromising our immune system. As I've always said, we all know that if you don't have a genetic disease, then the only other cause of your problem will be food or the environment that you live in. So our contribution is to make sure that the food that we put out for people to eat is pure, and that people are confident at any time that they can come back and buy and eat it without worrying about what is or what is not in the food.
So let's talk about the business side of things.
Yeah.
You've spoken now about how the challenges of people accepting it, and of course you've done everything to keep your integrity in terms of ensuring that you're not having anything that shouldn't be in the product there, and that I congratulate you for, because it's so easy to take the easy way out and get it out there, sell it at a low price and make your money. But your tenacity in terms of keeping your integrity is something that really shouts out. And it's something that I see from a lot of inventors and innovators. But in terms of the business side of things, how is that going? Retail, distributorship, packaging? Give us an idea and insight into what's going on there.
It's very challenging, but because we're determined that however long it takes, we will pursue it. So I'm glad to say that right now, Ades, which is one of the largest African supermarkets in the UK, stocks Avara flour. Abbey Global stocks it. I post out to people, and the beauty of the product is every single person that has tasted it or bought it have come back, because you only need to taste it before you get hooked on it. And knowing that many people in our community have diabetes, and many of the products that are out there, that diabetic people cannot eat them. And when we put out Avara flour to start off with, I wasn't thinking of people who are suffering with diabetes. We were focusing on people who are gluten intolerant. But now is the people who are suffering with diabetes who are coming back and saying, what did you put in this product? This is the only product we have eaten that does not spike our sugar level. So in terms of the quality that we stand for, and making sure that if you give your customers the best produce that you can provide, they will come back. And every business depends on repeat business. You know, you can do something that people buy once, you make a big pack of money out of the one packet, but what about tomorrow and the day after and the day after? So ensuring that people, when they buy the product, whatever we say is in there is what is in there. Even to the weight of the packaging. When we put this out, this is 500 grams. The 500 grams is the powder inside the bag, not with the bag. With the bag, it is 513 grams. And we make sure that every single packet has to be that 513 grams. It's those little things that matter to our customers, to make sure they can trust us.
I like the way you talk with passion. I feel I want to run out and get it. But I have to be honest with you. I feel that I would really like to see this in the Holland and Barretts of today. You know, it should be mass produced. It should be out there. And a lot of the places that you have said that these products are, they are somehow restricted somehow to the community, that the local communities that you belong to. Am I wrong in that? Can you correct me? Because
you're wrong in that, because we're taking it each step at a time, to make sure that when we put it out, once it's out there, that we can fulfill the order. So right now we're working on automating the factory so that we can do the mass production that will enable us to be able to go to all those. We have every confidence that when it hits the shelves in those markets, there is no going back. But we want to be able to fulfill the order. We don't want to be out there and then they want more and we can't meet the demand. So the challenge that we have, because we produce it in Nigeria, the challenge of getting packaging and knowing that the packaging you get is consistent, that is a challenge that we tackle all the time, and that takes a lot of time. In Nigeria itself, obtaining the NAFDAC number took a very, very long time, took a lot of journeys, a lot of travel. But we got the NAFDAC number and we're planning to launch this in Nigeria in June of this year. And knowing how huge the Nigerian market is, we know that, you know, we have to be prepared for these things. So it's not only restricted to the African market. We already have supplied to bakeries in Ireland who are producing stuff for Australia. So it's moving, it's going places.
Congratulations. I'm pleased to hear that it's moving. I'd like to push you further, because I think this product is a product that should really go much, much more wider than it is right now. I've got comments popping up saying it should be in Holland and Barrett, you should go on Dragon's Den, on the note of someone mentioning Dragon's Den, what about investors? Because you're speaking about mass production and meeting the needs, and of course we're going to be talking about thousands of this if you are going to go into the big mainstream market. Like even Tesco's and all the other shops that are now beginning to want ethnic minority foods on the shelves.
We are happy to welcome investors for the product, but any investor that is going to invest in Jolami Avara has to realize that we will not compromise on the quality. So if investors are happy to not, we will not be prepared to adulterate the product so that you make quick profit. It is designed as a long haul product. It's going to be there forever. At the beginning now, it is rough. It's very, very challenging because raising finance is a big deal. But as we get, small shops, markets opening up, then we have the traction to be able to go to investors and actually to be able to stand up and say, this is our product. We want you to invest. We will not compromise on our quality because that's what we stand on. If you're happy to be part of it, and you're ready, then come along, join us.
It's interesting that a lot of what we've been hearing today has been to do with caring for ourselves, caring for those who are with disabilities, the care industry, the care sector, the healthy living aspects of, it seems to be our number one priority today. And I think that I'm sure that a lot of us are behind you in terms of wanting to see this in as many food stores as possible. Can I just take you a little bit back to the schools?
Yes.
You are on London Food Board. You're a member of the
Yes.
London Food Board. I read somewhere that, and it was a glowing report about the services that you provide, that you're someone that ensures that the students have the right kind of meals day in, day out, and that you're very passionate about this. Can you just tell us a bit about your work in the schools?
Yes. I decided to set up Eagle Solution Services, having worked in various sectors of the school meal. I worked as a client officer, I worked as a contractor, and I started off as a kitchen assistant until I became MD of Eagle Solution Services. My passion in school meals, I'm determined to change the way that school meals work in the United Kingdom. Firstly, I believe that food should be a universal part of education. We shouldn't have this situation that we currently have where, if children are not eligible for free meals, it can be challenging for the children to get food. And COVID-19 have shown how important food is to everybody, but particularly children in schools. And if all children are going to have a level playing field, people say, oh, the government cannot afford it. Yesterday, I was doing a mental calculation that actually, if we take the amount of money that the government spends in Whitehall to try and work out which children is entitled to free meal and which one is not, and you add that to how much it's costing the local authorities to do the exact same exercise before you take it down to the school level, the amount of money that is spent is enough to be able to give free meals to every child in this country, because food is the leveling factor for everybody. Nobody has died because they didn't eat, because they didn't pass their mathematics or their English. People die every day for eating the wrong things. Children are starving. And so my aim in schools is that every school, or as many of them as possible in the UK, will actually take on and manage their catering service themselves. Because when they do that, it gives them the opportunity to determine what the children can eat. They can use the food to create coherency in their community. When parents just arrive in the UK, for example, and they don't really know how to tackle the school system, when you invite a parent, when you have parent evening and you invite the parents to come in with the recipes from their culture, their faces light up. They want to be part of the school. And so when some schools, or when the government say, oh, there are hard to reach communities, there are no hard to reach communities, because with food, you can transform the lives of schools, you transform the lives of children, you transform the lives of communities. So I will continue to do the work I'm doing. We're campaigning. There are a number of us campaigning for universal free meals in the whole of UK, like there is in Finland. Finland, most of the Scandinavian countries where the attainment of children is so high, everybody would like to go there to see how they're doing it. But people forget that the first thing that they do in those countries is every child that starts school until they are 16, the food is part of their education. They don't have to worry about whether they're going to get lunch or not. And I don't see why in the UK we cannot go down that route.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I mean, I've just seen a comment saying universal free meals for every child in the United Kingdom. So you've got some fans here already who will be joining you on this campaign.
Thank you.
you know, we don't have very much time, so I'm just going to ask you to just give us just a couple of tips that you feel you can leave with us in terms of being an innovator in this fast, competitive world that we're in.
I think for inventors and innovators, you cannot afford to trade your values. You must stick to your value. Follow what you believe in. There will be dissenting voices telling you, oh, that is not possible, it's not achievable, it's not good enough. No, stick to it. Do not take no for an answer, because everything is possible with determination. Then you must be prepared to continuously learn and be flexible and adaptable, because if you are stuck in the same place, the whole world will leave you behind. So we see with Denise and her stick, she's innovating all the time because things are moving on. And so every single day you're learning. Be prepared to learn, and don't be scared to seek help, because nobody is fountain of knowledge. We all need each other, and we as a collective must be prepared to reach out to people around you and not be ashamed. There's nothing to be ashamed of. As Arthur Ashe, the great tennis player, as he puts it, he said, do what you can, take what you have where you are, and do what you can with it. You don't have to wait. You can always do something, and there are hundreds and thousands of problems that need solutions. So we all need to be thinking all the time, how can we make it better? What contribution can I make to turn things around? And, with determination and focus, you have to be focused. You cannot afford to be derailed or detracted from what you plan to do.
Thank you very much. Very inspiring.
Thank you.
On that note, I just want to say thank you very much. We're going to have another break. Please do stay with us. Don't go away. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye for now. Welcome back, everyone. If you're just joining us, it's a pleasure to have you here. Thanks for spending your evening with us as we celebrate World Creativity and Innovation Day. So that you know, we're going to have an amazing woman with us, another one of those inspirational women. I've known her for quite some time. She's the co-inventor of the Lindsay clip. This is going to be slightly different for what you've been watching, and I'm hoping that you're going to be very impressed. Earlier on, Lindsay Walker, who is the co-inventor of Lindsay Clip, was unable to join us, but she's been able to join us today. But we did have a pre-recorded interview with her. So what will happen is we're going to show you what the product looks like, a showcase of that, and immediately after, we're going to be showing you the pre-recorded interview that I had. So this Lindsay clip, when you see it, you will realize that it's quite different from what you'll normally see out there. She is on, the Lindsay clip is on QVC, for those of you who like to buy things online. She's selling to large distributors, to chemists. Well, let me just stop there. Let's just watch what the showcase has got to show us, and we'll find out.
So it's basically the reinvention of the claw clip. The bad thing about the claw clip is that it has really long teeth, so it digs into the back of your head and is really painful, and also it tends to slip and you have to keep reapplying it. And also it's quite ugly because you can see the spring in the back here. So what Lindsay and Shelley have done is they've recreated this product called the Lindsay clip. The really great thing about it is that it has two springs over here, and they're both covered by this flat back, which comes in lots of different designs, which means that you can lean back on it and it won't hurt because the teeth are flat back against each other like this. So now I'm just going to show you a quick demo of the difference between the claw clip and the Lindsay clip. The claw clip, as you're placing it in, straight away it slips out, and also it digs into the back and it's really painful, and when I'm trying to take it out, all my hair is getting tangled in the teeth. But with the Lindsay clip, as I'm putting it in and pulling it over and tightening it, it's super secure and it's not going to fall out at all, and it catches no hair, comes out really simple like that. So the Lindsay clip comes in 3 sizes. This is the maxi one, so this is for fine hair and it really grips in all of the hair. I'll show you really quickly how to use it. Just like that. So super easy and really secure again. And then you have the midi one, and this is for medium to thick hair. So this is my favourite one because my hair is super, super thick and it really keeps my hair in all day. And then you've got the mini one, which is super cute, and you can do really fun little plaits and pop them to the side, or easily enough you can just do something like this. So just clip away the front bits of your hair.
Right. So good to have you, Lindsay.
Thank you.
You know, I was talking to you earlier and I just find you to be such an incredible woman in terms of what you've achieved so far. So I'm just going to go straight to the point because there are some things that you just can't learn from a textbook or in the university, colleges. We are talking about real life stories, real life experiences. So let's keep it real. And if I can just start with asking you, just tell me a little about yourself.
Okay, but before I start, can I thank you so much for inviting me here today. It's just fantastic. I'm really grateful. And I have to say that GlobalWIIN is the most amazing organization for people like myself and for women out there. I mean, my goodness, without you, where would we be? So I just wanted to say before we even start, thank you so much. Not just for having me on, but just for everything that you're doing. It's just tremendous.
Oh, thank you very much, Lindsay, for that. Right, a little about yourself.
Right, okay. So, it kind of goes back quite a long time. I was an actress. I was in my early 20s, and I had sort of middle parting, long hair, incredibly boring. And I used to say to my agent, can I just kind of have a fringe or a few little flicks or a bit of color or something? And it was always, no, Lindsay, that's not the kind of role that you play. We want to keep it classic, and that, and that's kind of it. So I was just kind of sitting there one day and thinking to myself, I'd really love to do something different with my hair. And I took the back of my hair and I pushed it over to my forehead, sort of here.
Yeah.
And my imagination started to do weird things. And then I imagined a kind of a hairband on top. And this moment happened, and I created what I then called, or later called, fringe benefits, which was a fake fringe attached to a hairband. And basically, all you needed to do was just to basically put on your hairband, and then you'd have a fringe.
Yes.
And as I was kind of looking at that, I thought, but what about a bit of color? And at that time, you could buy a blue wig or a red wig, and that's kind of not what I want. And I thought, if I have dark brown fringe, I put a bit of green in it, or a bit of blonde, or a bit of blue, and I put it on. I wonder how that would look. So I sort of had a muck around and a play around with it. And when I put it on, it was lovely because it's just like coloured highlights. Because the dark brown fringe looked like my own hair, and then it was just coloured highlights and so on. So that's how it started. And I thought to myself, you know what? I'm not really into kind of waitressing, even though I was doing it to, supplement, when I was an actress and not working. So I said to myself, you know what? Maybe this could be a second string to my bow. Why don't I give it a shot? Why don't I try? So I went to a little wig maker and I told him what I wanted, and he looked at me as if I was mad. And he said, okay, we'll make it. And then I thought, right, now what do I do? And I thought, and I'd heard about these things called patent applications, patents. So I thought, you know what? I think I need to do something like that. And so I read up on it, and I realized very quickly that you can't just go around showing your product to people, because that I learned was called the public domain. What you need to do is to make damn sure that you're protected before you start anything. I don't know where I got that from, but I did that. So I got my fringe, and I thought to myself, where can I take it? And I thought, I'll go to I'll license it. I'll license it. So I went to see the House of Carmen, who did hair pieces and wigs as well as those Carmen curlers. If you remember about those.
Yes.
And the fringes, were presented to them, and they initially said yes, they liked them and they would do them, but they didn't really want them with color. And then because in those days hair pieces and wigs were for old ladies or middle-aged ladies, and they weren't for young people. It wasn't fashionable at all. So that's kind of what happened. So but he messed me around and messed me around and messed me around, and in the end I thought, you know what, maybe I can try doing this myself. So we had a family friend, and he said, come on, I'll help you. And I thought, oh great. So we got onto a plane and together, and we went to Hong Kong.
Oh.
And I was introduced to the agent, and this is something really important to share,
Right.
because the agent was also the principal. In other words, we did the deal with the agent, we didn't do the deal with the factory.
Right.
And we got there, and 24 hours later he said, I'm off to New York. I said, what do you mean off to New York? What do you mean you're going to New York?
So can I just stop you for a moment? Because
sorry.
You just said something that's extremely important. You did, just so that I get this right, you did the contract, the deal with the agent.
Yes, big mistake.
And the agent left you.
No.
Who left you?
My family friend left me.
Your family friend that took
yes.
you to
so
Hong Kong.
I'm in Hong Kong.
Right.
In my 20s. I haven't got a clue what I'm doing.
And then?
Absolutely petrified, but quite excited at the same time. And he's gone.
Wow.
And so then the agent said to me,
how did you cope? How did you cope?
It was an adventure. And it was an adventure. And this is quite an interesting thing too, because it gave me a hunger to have adventure and fun. And that's what I did. And that's exactly what I did. So the agent said to me, she said, you know, Lindsay, the wigs aren't going to be made in, they're not going to be made in Hong Kong. They're going to be made in China. And I think that's what you need to do. So I said, yes, I think so too. So before I knew it, we were in China, in a little tiny village. It was the most incredible experience. They had never seen somebody from the West before, ever. It was just an incredible experience. Anyway, long story short, I had also managed to find myself a distributor, but I want to park that for the moment, if I may. And when I got back, okay, I was really excited. And then I discovered, okay, about just a few weeks before the launch, they hadn't made them. So I then had to go back to Hong Kong, and you have to understand, I am petrified of flying, absolutely petrified of flying. And I went back and went to China and literally, you know, begged them to push it, and that's what I did, and we got it, you know, to get it made in time.
Sheer determination. That's what I say.
And then disaster struck.
Oh no.
Yes. And this is the life of an inventor.
Ups, downs, pitfalls, getting up again. So tell us.
The disaster was this.
Wow.
That we launched in Bloomingdale's in America. And I had a phone call to say that the fringes did not finish here.
Yes.
They finished here.
Oh, goodness
They
me.
were busy, and they had twisted hairbands. They were all on. So when you put the hairband on, one would go in front of your ear, one would go at the back of your ear.
So,
and I just didn't know what to do. What was I going to do?
May I ask a question, please? Because this is so important. Was there no prototype or anything to...
The samples were beautiful.
The samples were beautiful, but what they shipped was...
Beautiful. I tell you what the problem was.
What?
The problem was, and this is what I've learned with the Lindsay clip and other things, you need a QC team. You need at the source in the factory. It is so important.
QC team, what's that?
Quality control. With my Lindsay clip invention, okay, all the clips are checked for quality, that the springs are good, that the spray is good, there are no scratches on them. You know, this is not what happened with fringe benefits. So we lost a lot of money. And I turned around and I said, hold on a moment, this is just not on, I said to the agent. And I said, you know, the factory's got to make it again. So she said, I'm sorry, there's nothing more we can do. And then I realized the mistake that forget blaming, because it's just one of those things I didn't know about business. But the agent refused to take responsibility. We had done the deal with the agent and there was nothing more that I could do. But I thought, I'm not going to give up. I'd realized that I'd messed up with the possibility of retail, which is like the Walmart and the Rite Aid, possibly with those people. I thought, what am I going to do? What am I going to? And I thought, I got it. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to fly to New York and I'm going to open up a Yellow Pages or White Pages, and there must be professional companies that sell to hair salons. So that will give me another go. That'll give me another chance, I thought. And that's what I did. I went to New York to find that everybody was in New Orleans at a professional exhibition. More flying, I thought. God, that was really hard for me. So again, I got into that aeroplane, and again, I landed up in New Orleans. And so there I am, and I've got my dark green jacket on with my little dark green skirt, and I've got a dark brown fringe with specks of dark green highlights. In my handbag, I got 6 or 7 samples. And so I go into the exhibition, and actually I've done this, since I did that, I've done it all my business life. And I went into the exhibition and I had no idea what I was doing, which is sometimes the best way to be. And I went up to a stand, it's called Zotos. It was a very large distributor. It was just a huge stand. And I said, I'd like to see the president, please, of your company. And I think they probably thought I was on drugs. People don't ask questions.
Were you still in your 20s?
Yeah, in my mid-20s. I'd like to see the president of your company, please. And the manager said, I I'm sorry, I'm sorry. He said that you can't do that. So I said, he's American. So he said, I said, well, I've got the most amazing product. I really, really think it'd be great for your company, because you then have to go from inventor to salesperson and businesswoman. So he said to me, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do. I said, I'll tell you what, if I show you this invention, and if you like it, will you drag the president out? Will you do that for me? And let me just have 5 minutes with him. But you must not tell him what it is, because I've always believed, and ever since then, surprise is always the best. It's the best element.
Wow, I'm learning something.
So I opened up my handbag.
Yes.
And I put my left hand in, and he was watching me do it. And with my right hand, I whipped off my fringe.
Yes.
Like that. And he said, don't move. And the president, Lee Rizzuto, the guy that was the president of the company at the time, came in. And by that time, I put the fringe back on and did the whole thing. And then I did the whole thing all over again. And then they'd had a little room at the back. And then we all went into the room. I had to do the whole thing all over again, because I said to him the same thing. You are not allowed to tell anybody what this product is. Anybody. And I did exactly the same thing. We went into the room and we did the same thing. And I got an order for 50,000 fringes.
Wow, 50,000 fringes.
50,000 fringes, yes. So
now,
I told them.
Hold on a second, because for you, I just want to know, how did you feel? Did you just walk out, or did you think, am I going to be able to do this, or what? Or what?
No, I was just so excited.
Oh, good.
So excited. I'm probably a very sad person, because I've always seen life half full. I really have. I just have.
Well, you've demonstrated, sheer determination. I don't want to stop this beautiful story, because I mean, part of what I was going to ask you was how you coped, and especially in this highly competitive world that you're in, and to think that you just walked in and you just spoke, and wow, a lot of the people that I have spoken to over the years have spoken about rejection upon rejection upon rejection. And here you are, you've had a journey where it just went completely downhill, and you sprung up again, and then you decided you were going to just, go straight into there. And maybe because you thought you had nothing to lose anymore, because you had lost so much at that very first downfall.
Rightly or wrongly, I really believed in the product, and
believing in the product.
And there's that saying, never give up. And I always believe, never give up until the point where you should give up, because there is sorry about that, frog in the throat. There is always a point where there was another invention, without going into it, that I did give up with, because that product wasn't suitable. It really wasn't. And, my voice inside saying, yeah, it's the greatest, but it wasn't. And sometimes it's really, really hard to say, you know what, if people keep on saying no, and I keep on saying yes, and they continue to say no, it gets to a point where you've got to really look at it. Either you've got to change the product, and make it better or different, or you've got to walk away.
So, the comment, these last comments that you've made is where you start to transition from just being an inventor into thinking like an innovator and holding that business acumen at the same time. And that's why I see you far much more than just an inventor.
I never call myself an inventor, ever.
Oh, and why not? Because I do happen to have a lot of respect for inventors.
But yes, but when I say what I mean by that is that if I'm trying to sell to a distributor, if I'm trying to work with a manufacturer under the umbrella of me being in business, a businesswoman. I am a businesswoman who happens to have a patented invention.
So that's how you introduce yourself.
Yes. So I would introduce myself as a company director with a patented product. That's how I would. And very early on, I would make sure that I look the part. Because if I say, you know what, people just accept me for me, and I'm wearing a pair of jeans and no makeup, well, it doesn't matter about makeup, but a pair of jeans and my hair isn't particularly, washed, whatever, and I just go in and I'm not prepared, then forget it. Because first of all, whatever deal I make is not going to be the same deal, but if I'm from head to foot, that I've made an effort. And also things like business cards. So for example, I've done the licensing. I've done 2 big licensing deals in my life, and then manufacturing. So I've done both, and the beauty is that you can do manufacturing and you can do licensing. You can actually do both. So you can pull money from one side on the licensing, can help finance the other. You give it like exclusive on a licensing deal in a particular country, then you've got the rest of the world to play with.
Amazing. Now I'm conscious of time.
Sorry.
I really wish, that we had so much more time to get into what you've, your experience and, but you've spoken about your challenges and I really would like to hear some of the success, especially with Lindsay Clip.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so we're selling Lindsay Clip in Europe, South Africa. We're selling in America. We're selling in Japan. And so that's kind of where we're selling at the moment. Oh, and we're on the airlines as well.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a great achievement, because when you're on the airlines, you're right up there in the sky. They say sky is the limit. Sky is the limit.
We're with TUI Airlines. We're on a number of their flights, so that's great.
So that's
so that's kind of what we're doing.
I'm happy, and hopefully you'd go into the Caribbeans as well as Africa.
Yes,
so there are opportunities.
Absolutely.
So do you have how does it work in terms of distributorship if someone wanted to help distribute?
Right, okay. So there are many ways people can do that. The way I work is I cold call distributors all over the world. The most important thing I do is make sure that they are not mid-management, because managers cannot make the decision. Now I know it can be quite scary to speak to the president, whatever, but that is the place to go. So in America, it works like this: president, senior vice president, and executive vice president, vice president. The vice president cannot make the decision. Senior vice president and executive vice president and president. And believe me, the presidents often make the decisions. Even with something that I was working with a huge company, it comes from the very, very top. In Europe, the general manager, that is the same as a president. And in the UK, sales and marketing director and managing director. Now, a director in Europe is a manager, and a director in America is a manager. So you've got to be quite careful who you pick.
So you've kind of mastered the hierarchies of where the decision makers are.
Yes.
So that you know that they're in a position to be able to make decisions very quickly, rather than going through all the channels of, So yeah, I think I can understand how that, works very quickly, and how you've been able to deal with this thing. I mean, we're very short of time now, and I just want to give you the last 2 minutes just to give us, your final message to the inventors. I know that, you'd hardly ever call yourself an inventor, but I think you must have started, having those creative ideas and all of that as an inventor. So yeah.
I think like an inventor. Okay. I feel like an inventor, and I am an inventor. I know what I am. Okay, but if you want to turn your invention into a business, you then have to become a salesperson as well. You have to, you basically become two people. You've got the invention side and the passion, and then you can pitch your product as an inventor and get them all excited. But then you've also got to do the businessy thing too, and you've got to do that. And keep going is what I say to those people out there. Keep going. Patents. Can I just share a little bit about patents? I think it's really important, very, very quickly.
Very, very quickly.
Very,
yeah,
very quickly.
I know how important.
Okay. So if there are any Americans listening out there, okay, and they want to patent, please, please, please do this slightly differently. If you patent the way Americans patent, it means you put your product into the market for 1 year. You've got 1 year, and then at the end of that year, that you can then decide, whether then you basically take out the patent after that first year. If you do that, you cannot patent anywhere else in the world. Why? Because it's in the public domain. Your invention is out there. So if you're thinking about other countries, and I think you should, and I think this is really important, take the patent application out at the beginning, and then you can go straight into America and you can go anywhere you are in the world. The one thing I would suggest, is here I go again. There's a big world out there. There's a big world out there. Okay. There's not just America if you're an American. There's not just France if you're French or British or whatever. You can mix and match. You can get distribution everywhere. But one of the things people always want to know is if you have a patent application or if you have a full patent. And if you don't, there is the possibility that you will be knocked off.
And on that note, I want to say thank you very much. You've been absolutely brilliant. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lindsay. That was absolutely brilliant. I wish we had more time. I'd have loved to have brought you back because I know there's more to tell, but we are going to go straight into a tiny break so that we can go to our next speaker, Jennifer Lake with Bug Grip. Welcome back, everyone. And now as we continue our celebration of World Creativity and Innovation Day, we get to know another incredible woman, the inventor of Bug Grip, Jennifer Lake.
My name is Jennifer Lake, and I've designed Bug Grip. Bug Grip is a universal clip. It attaches itself to pushchairs, shopping trolleys, wheelchairs, scooters. Clip them together and you can go. We took out a Facebook ad. It reached 36,000 people in 10 days, and the feedback was very, very positive.
When I heard about the Bug Grip, I thought it was a great idea. As a busy mum of two, anything that makes my life easier is fantastic. I have two sons of 2 and 10 weeks old. With having a toddler, sometimes they want to run around, sometimes they want to be carried, and it's really tricky when you've got a baby to do both. Having the opportunity to have an extra buggy that I can suddenly just connect together would be really useful. Where I live is too narrow to get a double buggy through the door. So the idea of having 2 buggies that can connect together would be fantastic for me.
The original use for the Bug Grip was for a pushchair, but it's now opening up a whole new area for Bug Grip to be used on other items.
If he gets tired and bored, which happens often with his scooter or his bike, it's really useful just to be able to connect it to the pram and then we can carry on with our day.
I really believe in this product. I'd like to get enough funding to be able to make the product. We have a clear market, clear vision, and we now need your help to take us to the next level.
Thank you very much, Jennifer Lake. That was absolutely incredible. I'm just seeing something on my screen, but I can see you now. So that was absolutely incredible. Do you know, Jennifer, I was doing my shopping yesterday and I was struggling with this heavy bag, the trolley, and trying to pull so much together at the same time. And I was wondering what was going on. And I just immediately thought I could do with Bug Grip. I wish they were selling them. And I'm sure that those who saw that little promotion would have seen that it's multifunctional. And, you know, I'm going to be looking forward to hearing more about the product itself from you. But before we go into your journey, can you just tell us a bit about yourself?
Right. First of all, thank you for having me on and being among the esteemed inventors and innovators. I'm really honoured. Myself, I'm a mum of 3, and this journey started when I had my first child. And because I'm disabled, I resonated with Denise because I had an industrial injury that I now walk with a stick. But I've always had to help people help me to go shopping and do other things for the day. And because I've waited around for somebody to help me, this particular time I thought, I'm going to do this on my own. So I got into the car, struggled there, got to the local supermarket, and I thought, I can do this. I can do this. And I took out the pushchair. My baby was about 3 months old, put him in the bassinet, pushed the pushchair, had my stick at my side, and then I decided to pull a trolley. So as we all know, trolleys never actually behave themselves at any particular time. So there I was, pushing a pushchair and dragging a trolley. So when I got into the supermarket, I thought, I'm going to do some serious damage on my debit card today. I'm going to shop for England. Puts them side by side, and there I was, pushchair and shopping trolley going opposite directions. It was in a human tug of war. And I thought, it looked as though I was in a scenario of you've been framed, and people look at me and say, what is this woman doing? But I was determined that I was going to shop. My vision was shopping trolley and pushchair running seamlessly side by side round the aisles of the supermarket while I piled things in. Didn't work. The shopping trolley raced off in one direction and I just had to hold on to my pushchair. I felt really dismayed and upset because the simple things in life that you think that you can do on your own, sometimes you just can't, especially when you are partially disabled. You can't get around, you often need help, but I wanted to try and do that. So on that particular day, I just left with nappies, wipes, and baby cream, and a bar of chocolate for me because I was so upset. But when I got home, it looks really, really comical. And when I got home, I laughed to myself and I thought, but I need to solve this problem. So just like with the Lindsay clip, I used the hair claw grip to create 2 clips back to back with a bit of elastic band in the middle. I thought, that's my eureka moment. I know I need this, and I know other people will need this. To go shopping on a reasonable day on your own is hard enough. You just have to have a basket, or you have to put your baby in the trolley, which I didn't find quite hygienic for my own child. A lot of people are very much like that. They don't want to put their children in those baskets. No, don't touch it. Let's go wipe it down. Right. But some people will do that and some people won't. So I want to give people the choice. So even if you are able-bodied or not able-bodied, you'd be able to have the opportunity to go shopping with a pushchair and a shopping trolley running side by side and just get simple chores done. And that's how I got to my eureka moment of designing the Bug Grip, trying to solve a problem, making life easier. Yeah, just with some simple adjustments to life.
So what were the challenges that you faced? Because of course you had the eureka moment, and then you've got the product. Now, I remembered when I first met you, I wasn't quite sure whether you had the prototype at that time or whether you just had the images.
I had the prototype at that particular time. It was made in a plastic. It was just a testable plastic, so to see, it was a proof of concept to see if it would actually work. So the first Bug Grip was literally a bit of plastic with a push button in the middle. But because I realized later on that some people do have dexterity problems and RSI within their fingers, the whole bug grip, the whole dynamics, the whole shape has actually changed, where you actually turn a cog. You can either turn it with your hand or with just the side of your hand, whether you have digits or without digits. And if you have arthritic fingers, it's easier to turn like this. So that was the stage where it's moved from the first prototype to now the second prototype, which you've seen in the filming.
I see. I've always said that inventors never fail. They only have, learning curves, and they, you continue to practice and work until you get what you want. But I've seen that, of course, it has progressed more. But in terms of the manufacturing of it, what stage are you at?
At the moment, I've won 2 awards. I'm with yourself, the Biffin Award, which I won some years ago. And funnily enough, during that year of winning the Biffin Award, I was on Mother of Invention. And when I won Mother of Invention, my mentor was Lindsay Walker from the Lindsay Clip. So I didn't know of her until I actually met her. And she was inspirational to me because it was her words, which was believe in your product. I've kept that mantra as I've gone along. So at the moment, I've won 2 prizes. I won the Design Council Award for Sparks 2019, and where I've got funding to take the product to the next level. I'm at the level where we've redeveloped it, and we were going to test it last year, but because of what's happened, because it's a hands-on product, you can't actually test it. So this year is for testing, and it should be, fingers crossed, tested by about the end of this year, hopefully out for maybe December.
I want to go back a bit about yourself in terms of, I know you believe in the product. Mm-hmm. I know that you've tried to, get the prototype out there, but what is actually stopping or preventing it from being in the shops now? Because that's what I'm trying to get at. What are you facing? Because this, to me, I think it should be in the shops. They should be investing on it. Have you tried Dragon's Den? Not that I would advise anybody to go on Dragon's Den, but just give me an insight, more of an insight.
Well, when I was at Sparks program, I was actually presented with my prize by Deborah Meadham. So possibly in the future, I want to make sure that this product is safe because it's to do with children and families. So I want to make sure it's safe, well tested, durable. I want it tested to destruction, so we know all the stress points and that we can improve on that and make sure that people are happy with it, as opposed to having loads of people coming back and complain that it doesn't work and it's not ready, etc. I'm just making sure that it is completely safe for everybody to be able to use.
I remember there was a time when there was a big talk about lone inventors working with universities and getting them to work with research and development aspects, and that in a way, cuts costs and stuff. Have you gone into that at all?
Yes, I did. It was a University of East London actually, and it came to a point where they were going to go ahead and then suddenly everything stopped and they stopped doing that particular research and development. So I've had to go alone on my own. So this journey has been 19 years long. So
you believe in the product, and it's taking 19 years, and but that's the reality. I think a lot of people don't realize that excuse me, that it can take that long.
Yes.
We don't want it to take that long, but it can. But when you do, when you are successful, then of course you can be very, very successful. But I'm trying to get at what's next. What can we do to push this further and along? I mean, you mentioned in your promotional video the funding aspects.
Well, when I made the video, the funding, that was actually the Sparks program, where I was actually one of 10 innovators, right? And they were all pitching. We all had to pitch for a share of £150,000. And I was lucky enough to be one of the 4 that was allocated some of the money from that actual prize fund. So the funding has actually come, and we've moved the product on a lot quicker. But just because of last year, we would probably been at manufacturing now, but because of the last year's what happened there, we've had to just pull it back a bit. But it's been a blessing because now I know what I want to do with the product, where I want it to go. I want to make sure that it is safe, all those little boxes that you need to tick, and be sure that everybody else is happy with that.
I mean, I like the way you're talking about making sure that it's safe, because of course, the integrity aspect is very important. And, you know, I was going to ask you about your plans, and maybe you don't want to share it now, but in terms of your plans for distributorship, licensing, what sort of routes to market are you planning to take on this particular product?
Right, we've got quite a few routes. There is like the licensing aspect. There is selling direct to the public via the website. There are a couple of people who are very interested in becoming investors, but I'm quite cautious with investors on how much equity they'd like to take from the company for how much they want to actually supply to the companies in order to make it a success. All those things are open, or even an outright buyout from a large company who wants to take it that stage further, and they've decided that, Jen, I don't want you on board, but I said, it'd be good to have me on board because my story behind the product will probably sell the product better than you just saying, oh, here it is.
Yeah. So your story. And I think that's important, the story behind the product. And it kind of brings me to the fact that a lot of the products that I see by women are products that are nurturing, that are caring, that are needed in society. They're not just, you know, there. I mean, of course, there are some things that we've got that are not necessarily, but if you look hard enough, you will find that they're doing something to make our lives much, much better. When you even look at Lindsay Clip, and you see how, if you know, the way it's been constructed, that the way it's been designed to ensure that it doesn't hurt, it doesn't pull at your hair, it doesn't, you know, it works in a way that is compatible to the hair that you're putting the clip in. You'll see that, you can see that nurturing and caring aspects in there. I do want to ask you, though, to just share some of the learning aspects from these challenges that you've got. I mean, give us some tips. You're an inventor, it's 19 years, surely ups and downs. There must have been times when you must have said, you know, is this really worth it? Or maybe there weren't, but I'd like you to share some, you know, some of the learning curves that you've had on this journey with us.
Patenting is very, very important. And make sure that it is patented and it is a recent patent. Otherwise, people will come in and try and steal parts of that patent. I'm actually a part of ACID with Deeds McDonald. That was through the Design Council, and I joined her because it was very important that, especially when people have unlicensed products, then they are protected as well. And I have that banner on my website to deter anybody thinking of, oh, I'm going to try and just take a bit of that. Well, then you've seen ACID at the bottom. So at your own leisure and at your own penance, if you decide to do that, believe in your product. You have to be able to say that I believe in it, I'm following through with it, and I know it works, and be determined. Because if you decide that somebody says something negative about it, if someone says something negative about the product, I ask them, what do you think? But to me, I try and turn it around to a positive. They say that, oh, that bit's not quite nice. Okay, so what do you think? So I'm always taking advice. I'm always learning on my journey, as opposed to just shutting people down because they've said something that's not quite nice about the product. I just say to them, what do you think could make it better? And I take that all on board. And then I put that into my conundrum. And then if they're right, they're right. If they're not, then they're not. But at least I've taken that particular aspect on board to see if, you know, I haven't just closed the door on that. I'm not. And also to actually have people to soundboard against. I have a team of people, Barbara, my brother, and a few other people, my patent lawyer, and they all, I soundboard if I have a problem, or if I think, I don't always think I'm right, but I always ask, What do you think? And if I'm not right, then I take the advice on board. And that's the main thing, to be able to take rejection, right, and then turn it around to a positive. Never always see everything as a negative. Just think, okay, then they've said that, but there's a positive side to it. That's the way I think all the time.
I mean, I like your approach, because I do know a lot of, there's this understanding, perhaps it's false understanding, that most inventors are single-minded and it's their baby, and they wouldn't have anyone say anything, that is negative about their baby, because they spend so much time on this. And so I like the approach that you've got in terms of wanting to learn and wanting to listen. And at the end of the day, you will make that decision in terms of how you move forward. So, and on that note, I really want to thank you for sharing your journey. I'm very happy that you've been able to get some funding. Congratulations on that. Well done. It is a journey, I know, but do call us. Let's be there to launch with you when it's all out there.
I just want to say that the Stelios Award is for disabled entrepreneurs, and apply to them, because they also gave me funding towards the product, just to get things moving, or if I need payments towards certain items. So that's a great way to move forward, especially if you're a disabled entrepreneur.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Jennifer. It's a pleasure having you here, and please keep in touch. We want to keep up with your progress as you go along. So on that note, I'd like to say thank you to Jennifer once again, to all our speakers that have joined us today. It's been an absolute pleasure. I've learned every step of the way. I hope the people who have been with us have learned something too. I'm not going to keep you, because I noticed that most of the people who started with us are still with us, almost 2.5 hours. So thank you. It must have been one of those programs that you must have found interesting, and I hope that you will join us again with the next event that's coming up on the 27th of May, when we'll be talking to some of our judges and what they look out for, and intellectual property is one of the main topics that we're going to be looking at. I want to wish you well, stay safe, and especially during this pandemic period. Now, the last word before I leave would be by Professor Ruth Sutton-Dubb, who will give us the closing remarks. She has been a judge of the GlobalWIIN Awards and has traveled to so many countries with us. She has seen what the issues are. She's always extremely supportive with the work that we do. And it's my great pleasure to invite Professor Ruth Sutton-Dubb back again. She's the visiting professor to University of the Arts, London. Thank you.
Thank you, Bola. Well, I just want to say it's been a great delight and an honour to have been invited to offer these closing words at this event, which has been absolutely inspirational. I'm somebody who listens always in jaw-dropping awe at the imagination and the relentless dedication that is shown by the women that we've heard from today. My contribution to creativity and innovation over more than 3 decades has been to devote the bulk of my working career as an academic to sharing concepts and principles of intellectual property rights with creators from all disciplines, all industries, and internationally. When Bola asked me to say a few words, the first thing I did was to look up online, to Google, and to look on the databases the 5 women that we have heard from. And I learned a lot from what I found. But what I want to sort of share with you is that intellectual property rights are a bit like Marmite. You either love them or hate them. The word intellectual property rights will either send a shiver down your spine and the fervent hope that if you ignore them, they will disappear, or they will give you a warm feeling that if you approach them with diligence and respect, they can support you to achieve your goals. I don't know how many of the 5 women we've heard began by shivering at the mention of intellectual property, but it's really good to see how many of you, the 5 of you, have gone on to acquire patents and register trademarks in connection with your innovations. You've embarked on the journey of seeking formal recognition and legal protection for the fruits of your creativity. I don't know whether you've learnt to love intellectual property rights, but I expect you are shivering and shuddering a lot less. All well and good. Listening to them, everybody else in the audience may have thought, good for them, but I'm not sure where to begin. And for you, I've got 2 simple pieces of advice. And the advice I'm going to give I'm actually kind of echoing what we've already heard from Lindsay, from Jennifer, from Denise. The first is probably the simplest, cheapest, and most important bit of IP advice that you will ever receive. And that is, keep stumm, button it. Don't talk about what you have come up with too soon. All innovations start with an idea, and ideas are vulnerable. They need looking after. In themselves, ideas are not rights. You don't really have a right in an idea. So be very careful when sharing your ideas, especially at an early stage. Be careful when you tell what to whom, and where possible, share your ideas only as part of a confidentiality agreement. And the second piece of advice is to learn the value of a good question. Finding the right answers begins with the right questions. Don't be shy to ask. A lot of the information you need to get started on protecting innovations is freely available online via resources, for example, from your national, in the UK Intellectual Property Office, or here in London, the British Library IP Centre. You'll soon find that the answers are not so difficult to find if you can work out the right questions. Bola, thank you so much, you and your GlobalWIIN team and the inspirational presenters, for a great way to celebrate World Innovation and Creativity Day together. Thank you.